My name is Kim Brophy. I know people are anxious to get to lunch, so I'll try to be quick. I will likely be making some forward-looking statements. This is available on our website and all of our presentations. So I think Robert did a great job just kind of setting things up. The key takeaway that I want people to kind of remember, Corral Copper is certainly our flagship project, but we do have 3 projects all in the state of Arizona, all focused on what I prefer to call essential metals. They've been essential for the last 100 years, and they're only going to remain essential as we move forward, as Robert and John and others have identified. At the end of the day, our Corral Copper project, the one key takeaway that I hope people get before they try to go get lunch is shallow, high-grade copper within private lands in the state of Arizona. And the state of Arizona produces over 70% of all copper out of the U.S. As you can see, we're only just getting started. The company was formed a couple of years ago. We only have 45 million shares outstanding, so still very, very well structured for a lot of the growth that we have today. Management certainly a big shareholder. So here's just our 3 projects, once again, all in the state of Arizona. Corral Copper and Tombstone South that Robert touched on are both in Cochise County. We're very bullish on the county in particular. All 3 of our projects are in areas that we think are already de-risked somewhat from a land standpoint. We tried to stay outside of any of the state lands. We tried to stay clear of some of the indigenous lands as well, just to lessen some of the hurdles. As Robert touched on, we have 1,800 acres of patent mining claims, which is about 15% of our entire property at Corral Copper. And what does that really mean? Well, it's our backyard. We pay taxes on it. So we don't necessarily have to ask permission to go drill or build roads. We just notify the county. It's like being a good neighbor. Just to the north of us is the Johnson camp, and just as an illustration, that's a first copper mine that got a mine permit in the state of Arizona in over a decade, and it did it in less than 3 years. So it just goes to show you can get mines built in the state of Arizona, if you're in the right county, but also you stay outside of some of the more difficult lands or away from more difficult regulatory frameworks. So Corral Copper, why did we call it Corral Copper? Because it took me 18 months to corral a whole bunch of fragmented land ownership. We're not that far from the town of Tombstone and the OK Corral, so it's a double benefit there. But by corralling this area where there was previous exploration, we've been able to now combine it, and now we're looking at more of a district scale opportunity. So we had 50,000 meters of historical drill data to help guide us in our first drill program, and I'll get into some of the drill results. Robert touched on it. The highlight was 112 meters of 1.5% copper and over half a gram. And outside of our table, our new CEO, Ken Enquist, he's here as well. But we got a nice little chunk of core that shows 20% copper or over 20% copper, over 8 grams per ton gold and 250 grams silver. What's important is you can see some of the shallow mineralization, and I'll show you this again in a moment, but the source or the porphyry is yet to be discovered. So I often say we're just scratching the surface, which is true, and it's within our private lands. We haven't drilled a hole past 300 meters yet. So shallow, high-grade mineralization screams starter pit mineralization to me. You can see here, so we took the first 36,000 meters within our private land. We threw it into a program called Leapfrog, and we identified the heat map. This is where we knew there was historical copper, gold, silver, and zinc. However, there was no drill core, and it goes back to some of the feuding between the fragmented landowners. The core was destroyed, but we did have the advantage of having assay data and drill logs. Now, historical data is great, but we needed to validate it as a first priority, because what we saw in a historical drill log, was it a 3, was it an 8, was it a 7, was it a 1? So whether we're talking about grade or GPS coordinates where previous drilling was done. So it was really focused, the first phase was really focused on validating a lot of that known mineralization. But some of that previous exploration was also fragmented, done in the 50s, 60s, 70s by different companies in different areas. Some folks were only looking for gold, so there was no copper analysis. Some people were only looking for copper, so there was no gold analysis. So you can kind of see here, this is the first drill program. We started in February of this year. I guess to take a step back, we raised $6.6 million to start the year. We went ahead and spent money drilling on our first drill program. We still have over $2 million in the till. And you can see some of the amazing results. 112 meters of 1.5, or almost 200 meters of 0.68, another 125 or 24 meters up in the holiday zone of 0.52. This to me screams starter pit type of mineralization. Once again, this was our first drill program, and we're just getting started. Since this time, we've identified a number of new target areas, again, a lot within our private lands, but that 3.5 kilometer trend is only 15% of our entire property. So there's a lot more to explore within this area, but this is a great starter area, and again, all within our private lands. You can kind of see here, this is the piece of core that we have out at our table, significant copper and gold and silver. And you can kind of see right within that kind of purple corridor there is some of the highest grade material. So again, from an analog just south of us in the town of Bisbee was the Copper Queen mine that Phelps Dodge originally started mining, and then Freeport bought them out. They had 53 million tons of 6% copper. And that was their starter pit. And that starter pit paid for all of the exploration development that went into the porphyry. We've yet to discover our porphyry, or the source of a lot of this mineralization. So again, we're just getting started. Robert touched on Tombstone South. This is another real exciting project. It was the first one we brought in. The guy there with the black cowboy hat, Dave Lajak, we acquired this. He worked at Arizona Mining. He was he logged a lot of the core, so he started looking around Arizona for similar geology and acquired this project where there has been some historical drilling done. And this is what we're really looking for. Others have touched on the importance of the CRD and that, heat source of a porphyry. There's a porphyry just to the northwest of our property, which provides that heat source. Previous drilling in the upper strata yet to test the Paleozoic limestone units. So the first thing we did was a large dipole IP survey, or a geophysical survey, so we could see deep into that limestone unit. And we identified this large and strong chargeability anomaly. Excuse me. It's a blind target, undercover, but its location in that upper limestone units have the company and a lot of our technical folks very excited to drill this target, either later this year or early next year. And then last but not least is our Mesa Well project. Excuse me. It's up in Graham County, and as you can see, it's surrounded by giants. This is where, once again, about 70% of all the copper that gets mined in the U.S. comes from Arizona, and a lot of it comes from this area. So you can see all the majors that operate in the area and a few other kind of projects. So this is our earliest stage project. We haven't done a lot of work on it, but what we really like about it, it's in the right area code, surrounded by giants. Excuse me, got all of the right host rocks. And it's just, and it's permitted and ready for drilling. The leadership team, we've kept real lean. Ken Enquist became the CEO just a couple of weeks ago. He's outside. Our chairman, Mark Morabito, he's raised significant capital throughout the years. So I think we're well situated for growth ahead. We've got a strong technical advisory team. Chris Osterman, he's based in Tucson. He's had many discoveries. Dan and Alan are here in Vancouver and help move us forward. Other technical advisory members, Tony Taylor's a Nevada-based geologist. Rebecca Sawyer was the permitting expert that got that other mine permitted in 2.5 years. And Colleen Roach is another valuable add. So with that, I'll try to make sure that I hit my time mark. Thank you very much. Please feel free to stop by, talk to us outside. We'd be happy to tell you more about the company. And I thank you all for your time, making it here on a Saturday, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.